welcome to All In, All Out. I first want to apologize for not releasing an episode last Monday. I had personal things that I needed to deal with, and quite frankly, I didn't have the passion or the desire to record an episode and release it on Monday. And I'm the type of person, again, if I'm not all in on doing something, I'm just not going to do it, because I would be giving all of you an half-assed effort. And that's something I don't do, especially on this type of platform. I usually record these episodes in my bedroom, because in the bedroom there's a lot of peace. I can really meditate on the episode I'm releasing, but I wanted to do a different setting today. As of right now, I'm recording this episode in my vehicle, so if you hear numerous vehicles pass by me, that is why. But onward with the show. It's almost 2022, which means that 2021 is almost ending. And usually around this time of any year, I presume many people use this time for reflecting on what they experience within that year, the good, the bad, the ugly, the good times, the bad times, the horrible times, the life lessons that either propelled someone to become better people or affected them in a negative way. And it's crazy. Still, we're in this pandemic, and unfortunately, a lot of people probably didn't have a good year because of this pandemic, and many people catching the coronavirus. That's just the way life is right now. I'm fortunate enough, and again, I'm not bragging, not being arrogant. I'm fortunate enough that no family members of mine have caught COVID. I know people in my, not I want to say inner circle, but I'm close with who has caught COVID. But again, even with that, I'm fortunate enough where nobody has died. Whether it's in the news or whether it's colleagues, former colleagues, associates, I know people who caught COVID and a few amount of people who have died from COVID. So, especially this time of season, the winter season, Christmas season, New Year's, a lot of people are even more depressed because of people dying. They are essentially alone, or they feel alone in that regard. So, just for a side note to all of you, if you see anyone in need, if you have the sense of whoever's near you, a family member, a friend, a random person, if you have that sense that they just want someone to talk to, or just ask them the question, hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk with me? Do you want to converse with me? Because just a small conversation with someone will make their day better. 100% that will happen. But going back to reflections, I tell you what, 2021 was an interesting year for me. It was on the biggest challenges in my life. Mostly because of my former employer, but the whole story will be told one day, as I mentioned many times before. But what I will say is this about what I experienced and what I've learned in 2021. Three things I've learned. The first thing that I've learned is that I'm stronger mentally than what I originally thought. And I say that because I was put in positions where I really needed to control my emotions. Just one story from my former employer. A former colleague of mine attempted to get under my skin by mentioning my mother in a very negative way. Now, she didn't call my mother the B word or a whore or anything of that nature, but use or at least mention my mother in a very condescending way to get under my skin and essentially leading me to explode, to go off on her, as some people would say. And when I tell you, it took every fiber of my being to not go off at that person. It genuinely did. Now, I'm not going to say that it was a hard thing to do, but it was very challenging. Very challenging. Because at that point, I've been dealing with their crap for over 4 months now. Well, not now, but at that point. And it was getting a little annoying, to be politically correct. And just dealing with those adversities made me realize how strong I truly am. And because of those experiences, it gave me lesson number 2. And that lesson number 2 is I learned that money truly corrupts people. Now, I will admit, I already knew that from a biblical point of view. Some of you may know the scripture in the Bible that the love of money is the root of all evil. Remember, the love of money, not money in general, the love of money. And working not only at my former employer, but just associates and people I know, some family members as well, that money. And it's not even the money itself, the dollar bill. It's the wealth. It's the empowerment. It's the power. See, that is the root of all evil. Because see, in this world, and you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that when you have the money, you essentially gain more power. And depending who has that power will either use it to their advantage or they use it as a disadvantage by affecting and ruining the lives of other people. And that's what I realized this year, that when people are desperate financially and they don't have little to no faith within them. You know what? I take that back. When they have no faith in them, they will contradict, assassinate their own character. People who are desperate financially, who has no faith whatsoever, they will assassinate their own character just to get that wealth. And it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame because, one, they're ignorant, not truly realizing that if they just stay truthful, stay to who they truly are, who their guardian or parent raised them to be, everything will run a lot smoother. It's very simple. It's very easy, in my opinion. And I don't like to use the word easy a lot, but it's very easy to be a good person. It really is. And you hear some people in the world that say, oh, why is it easier to be bad than to be good? Well, for a side lesson, there's two reasons why that's the case. One, you're not born again, so you're more susceptible to the sinful lifestyle, the sinful choices, because sin connected to flesh, connected to pleasure, meaning that your flesh will lead you on to do sinful things out of pleasure and out of lust. And number two, even if you're born again, even if you're saved, give your life to God and all that, if you surround yourself by people who are ungodly for a consistent amount of time, their lifestyle, will rub off on you. It's similar to that saying, guilty by association. Well, I would say sinful by association. And let me tell you why that's true. I know a family member. Won't mention their name, but I will say I did look up to this person when I was much younger. And this person was so committed to God. This person would show up to every Bible encounter, which is Bible study at the time, show up to church every Sunday as much as possible unless they needed to work. Consistently reading the Bible even outside of church. And let me tell all of you something. I rarely do that. Genuinely, I rarely do that. Okay? And this person was so devout in his walk with God. But eventually, this person entered within an environment that was very toxic. And it led to, I don't want to say a downfall, but it changed their character, where now their lifestyle is not a direct reflection of God. And when I say this person was devout, I mean this person was devout. Now, this person wasn't a Jehovah's Witness or anything. He just a born-again Christian. And if I told y'all the name of this person, y'all will understand what I'm about to say. If that type of person can have a lifestyle change based on environmental status, then it can happen to any one of us. And that's why, to an extent, it's easier to be bad than it is to be good. But I'm telling all of you right now that if you are born again and you stay consistent in the Word of God, it is easier to be good than it is to be bad. You ain't always going to be good. I'll tell you right now, you ain't always going to be good. Sometimes you're going to make decisions that I deem bad, and you know that they are bad. And most of the time, you're going to make those decisions out of emotion. And we don't make emotional decisions because our emotions will get us in trouble. But I'll deal with that another day. Going back on reflections. That's the second thing I learned. That when someone is not committed to God, if someone isn't born again and doesn't have no faith, they will do almost anything. That's pure evil, in my opinion, to get that dough. And number three, I realized, well, let me take a couple steps back. I've been saved, as all of you know, since I was 14 years old. I got saved in 2013, entering my sophomore year in high school. And from that point on until now, whenever someone has treated me bad and I didn't treat them bad, I used to take so much time out of my life pondering, meditating on why they treated me the way that they did. It blew my mind why people would do that. Now, this is younger Ryan speaking, because I'm thinking to myself, no, if I just treat them with respect, be honest, be integral, be transparent, they have no reason to treat me bad. And you know what? That is true. Still to this day, that is true. But what I didn't realize, that doesn't mean people will still treat you a certain way. I've had people lie to me. Who hasn't been lied to? I've been stood up on a date twice on the same woman. My flesh wants me to say her name, but I'm not going to out of respect. Lied to for meetups. Accused many times. More times than I want to remember. And I always attempt to justify why did they do that. And all these people, I did not treat them bad. I didn't do anything bad to them. And if I did, I apologize for it. But I strongly know in my heart the people that did me bad, I didn't do nothing to them. But going back to the third lesson that I learned. Again, I used to attempt to justify why these people would do these things. And I would come up with reason after reason, answer after answer. And in my opinion, they were legitimate answers. But to a certain point, just because they're justified does not mean that they're not wrong. And I remember I was speaking to my mother in the gospel one day, Sean Soldier, Sister Sean, and I'm telling her my situation at my former employer. Really, all these life lessons that come from my former employer, most of them. And I remember asking Sister Sean the question, Sister Sean, are people really that bad? Are they really that bad to the point that they're going to do all these nasty and mean things to you? You ain't doing nothing wrong with them. But just because you're standing for righteousness, genuineness, kindness, that they're going to treat you this way for legit no reason whatsoever. She said yes. People are that bad, and there's no reason to explain it, analyze it, commit a social experiment. Ain't no reason to do all this. Some people are just bad people. And once I was told that answer, I got revelation. Some people are just bad. Some people are just plain evil. It's a sad fact to admit, but some people are just evil. Same way some people are just good. Some people are just evil. And they will do evil things to you, even if you're spreading nothing but kindness their way. It's a shame. It's very sad, man. Because if you are that person that treats someone who is genuinely good in a very negative way, shame on you. Shame on you. Because we don't have enough good people in this world, at least consistently. So any opportunity you see a good person out there, treat it with respect. Because you know what happens? They turn bad. Like, man, I'm all good to these damn people, and they treat me with respect. Man, forget this. I'm going to go to the dark side. And you know the crazy thing about that? They don't drastically go to the dark side. It happens slowly. It's a process. Because after a certain point, you get annoyed, and then you start being a little rude to people. Because you expect that people are just going to disrespect you. So, those are the 3 things I learned, man. And it has made me a better person. Because I fully understand people more. Why they do the things that they do. The root to those same things. Sometimes I feel like it's a paradox of sorts. So that's my 2021. I could speak probably for an hour on the other life lessons that I've learned in 2021. But those are the main 3. So here's my lesson to all of you. Whether you had a bad 2021 or a good 2021. Here's what I will say to all of you. You can't tell me that you didn't learn something from 2021 that's applicable to your life. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. But here's what I will say. Take whatever you learned in the year 2021, and whatever you learned, whether it was from a negative experience or a positive experience, use that learning experience and do better. Or if it's something good, take that lesson you learned and then amplify it. Take it up another level. If it's something negative, just learn your lesson and don't do it again. See, that's why we learn history. Because if we don't learn history, we're doomed to repeat it. Which is why I'm such a history buff. One, because it's fascinating. But two, so I'm not ignorant of history and have a great appreciation of history. And most importantly, don't repeat the same history in the first place. That's my advice to all of you. Don't be that person. Also, don't be that person and say, oh, I'm going to leave 2021 behind me. Is it gone? It's done. Yeah. Numerically, it is gone. But the fact is, you experienced 2021. When you tell your kids, grandkids, girlfriend, your boyfriend, mother, father, story in life, you're going to need to bring up 2021 at some capacity, especially we're still in the pandemic. As I said, take whatever you learned in the year 2021 and make it applicable to your life. I'm a big believer that you could turn any negative into a positive. I genuinely believe that. Now, in some situations, it takes two people to turn that negative to positive, but either way, I still believe fondly that you could turn a negative into a positive. So, there we go. Train going by. Thank all of you for listening. I appreciate all of you. Even though I just started this show almost 2 months ago, I think any of you who have supported me up until this point. Next episode, I'm going to talk about New Year's resolutions, my resolutions, plans for the show. There's going to be some exciting things on the horizon. At least to me, they're exciting. But I believe all of you will be excited too. So with that being said, you can follow me on Instagram. My username is @SaluteToRai. Also on Instagram, you can follow the podcast at All In, All Out Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, download. Please give me a 5-star rating. It will really help. And comment too. It won't take long to put out a comment and a rating. Please do that. With that being said, stay blessed and stay well back. Thank you.